Now let's begin with the analysis of the equities market and review of the previous week performance as the NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization depreciated by 2.18% to close the week at 52,908.24 and 28.52 trillion naira respectively. All other indices finished lower with the exception of the NGX Insurance, NGX Africa Dividend Yield and NGX Growth Index, which appreciated by 0.83%, 0.58% and 0.74%, while the NGX ASN Index and NGX Sovereign Bond closed flat. So a total turnover of 28.73 billion unit of shares worth about 209.06 billion naira in about 23,000 deals was traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange. When you compare that to the total of 1.84 billion units of shares last week, which exchanged hands last week in about 27 deals, it means the market depleted or dipped last week compared to the previous week. The financial services industry, if you look at that, which measures by volume, led the activity chart last week with 28.04 billion units of shares valued at 198.01 billion naira in about 10,000 deals, contributing 97.61 and 94.72 to the total equity turnover, volume and value respectively. While the conglomerates industry followed with 434.85 million units of shares. And in the third place, you have the consumer goods industry with a total turnover of 74.1 million units of shares worth about 2.85 billion naira in over 3,000 deals. Trading in the top three equities, namely Union Bank of Nigeria PLC, Transnational Corporation PLC, and FBN Holdings PLC were among the top three traders at last week. So let's get talking right now to know the direction for the day and of course the week. Is Mr. Ambrose Somodon, Chief Research Officer, Investor Consulting Limited. He's here with me in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
Yes, let me ask you your take on the position of the market last week. It was a bit bearish.
Like I just said last week, it was just a sell market. People were taking profit and at the same time, considering the hike in rate, people are like to move into the fixed income space where there's less risk, forgotten that yes, higher risk, higher return. For me, those that know how to play the market, I call them design investor. This is the time they should watch which sector can I edge against inflation, that the earnings that will come will see better earnings seed at the end of the day, knowing that market pulling back also for 4 straight days. They will call improved dividend yield for these banks, for this stock on the exchange. At the same time, what we call a price to earnings ratio has also improved. It tells you that most of the stock on the exchange, even at this current height of the market, most of them are worth undervalued, because the factor that brought the market to this level is just few stocks that are highly capitalized on the exchange that move the market to where it is. That means most of the stock in different sectors are still attractive for investors to invest in. For me, when investors should do that, at this point, we have seen a pullback for 4 straight. On Friday, we saw a rebound, we saw kind of a rekindled interest in taking position in some stocks, and that was expected. Despite we'll see that the month of June is a very mixed month because of what profit taking and other activities, especially Magnan date. So what happened last week, because about 10 stocks were adjusted for price of their dividend they declare.
You mean the month of May?
Yeah, last week. I'm talking of last week as well.
Okay.
Last week alone, we have about almost 10 stocks that were adjusted for just a dividend they pay. We have the life of Nestle, life of Steplat, Dangote Cement. When this kind of stocks are adjusted, you expect that the market to will lose such with about 2.18. But this will start some after this morning, about also 6 or 4 will be adjusted for this week. You see, these are the things that will affect the market up and down for this. But at the same time, people are taking profit. But the good thing is that this is the month preceding or following the next earnings season. For me, towards the end of the month, we must see people positioning for and also what is happening globally also. And from this morning, I can see that the price of crude oil has even gone back to about $120 because of little hike in Addis Ababa, what's it called? Saudi Arabia adjusted their price.
And if you also remember, as the OPEC members and Italy met last week to also decide, how much or the quota by which of these member countries can also produce for the month of July as well.
But actually, they came out, they increased their quota for nearly every oil producer so that they can now reduce the price. But the funny is that yesterday, because Saudi Arabia also kind of want to, for the month of July ahead, what we call a future position, price have moved to 120 this morning. I believe that since U.S. president is visiting, Saudi Arabia, they might, that's how they discuss about. But I tell you that these are the dynamics in the market, both commodity and equity market. Not just because market is pulling back, you want to oil corrected before it bounce back. Also, market is correcting in our own climate. What you do, look at the factor that will put this price up again. Because next week we're expecting to see some economic news or figure or report from a Bureau of Statistics. When it comes, I will see inflation for the month of May inching up. That's another thing that also influence where funds will be going, because everyone that has money wants to, where can I hedge against inflation? Let my money work for me and give me more value than putting my money where at the end of the day, even when I get my return, inflation has rubbish my return. You need to, where can I go move with the speed of inflation? Which sector will follow inflation or even overall inflation? That is how to invest. But for me, the market has created opportunity. That's why I pull back, see where you can enter. That's why I also say that as an investor, learn how to combine your technical and your fundamental, because as it is now, it's not just looking at market is coming down. You must know exactly where it is support level of the market.
And that's why I want to ask, you talk about stocks that are undervalued. For a layman who just learning to invest in stock market, I mean, when they hear stock undervalued, they may not understand. Isn't that time for them to say, okay, these stocks that are undervalued, is it time for me to take position or to just exit? So break that undervalued, stocks that are undervalued, and when an investor can take position in those stocks. When
we are investing, there are two things. Those that are in fundamental lines or analysis will tell you that these stocks are undervalued. They are using what either different model to look at the book value of the company and the current market price with their discount, dividend discounting model. They will now find a value and compare the value with the current market price. You say it's undervalued. But for those that are in technical analysis, you look at what is overbought and oversold. Say that at this overbought, the stock is overvalued. Oversold, the stock is undervalued. You see, you have different terms on how to gauge your value. That is why anybody that want to build this market and make money, you must go through education. You can't just say because you're a new investor, you need to learn the game you want to play. Because I tell you, any business you want to do, without mastering the business, you go there and do try and error. At the same time, you get your finger burned. That's why I call them, you need the education first before you jump into doing more proper trading. That's why education is good, so that you know how to know this, undervalued stock, using your fundamental, also using your technical analysis, so that you can arrive at a good decision and invest wisely. At the end of the day, you can now multiply your weight.
I mean, we've seen the market move to about more than 54,000 mark before dropping back to 52,908.24 basis point last week, and so I mean, this of course I understand the fact that yes, it's correcting itself and pulling back, and so you expect, but the question a lot of people are asking is, now it's adjusting back or downward.
Yes.
So when is this trend likely to come to a halt? I mean, for safety.
Really, like I can't just put a term or a level, but I believe that once the market cross 51,000 down, yes, you have to wait again to reach around 48 for it to position. But now it's around 52 now. The market is still strong, but relatively like there's a pullback already we have seen, but it's still strong relatively. Look at where market is coming. But for me, as a trader or investor, what you look for a strong support level for the market, and also go to your what we call sectoral indices, because what put the market up here is few stocks like Ete, Dangote, Steplat, and that. Now they adjusted their price for dividends. You see that the market came down because they took some prices from them, but Ete is yet to adjusted. For me, that what brought the market up are still there. They are still there. Those stocks are not gone under. They're still fundamentals supporting them. What I mean that there are other stocks in the market that are undervalued, that as far as we're getting to any season, you as an investor, these are where you should also be positioning. That's why the coming master class, I will tell them, you need to be in that master class, because at the end of the day, we'll tell you companies that are earning in multiple currency, and those ones are earning, that means there is inflation here, because they are earning in multiple currency in Nigeria, you're going to also edge against their earnings. That will also impact their bottom line. And those companies that have done backward integration, how you can know that this company, even though there is high cost of wheat in the international market, it's not going to affect them because they've done backward integration. Even also sugar is up in the international market because they don't going to affect them. If you know the kind of stuff, at the end of the day, you see that their earnings will be strong to support their price. But those that are importing all this, automatically they are importing inflation at the same time high cost, which is going to eat up their at the end of the day, they won't pay you good dividend. That will affect the price of your stock. So
when you talk about education, that's the areas people like you come in, because you're talking. I understand. Yeah, but then let's look at the sector issue that you talk about. For instance, we saw that the banking index declined last week. The insurance index as well. I think, yeah, they did a bit well. You have the consumer index, or consumer goods rather, which declined by 2.51%. The oil and gas also was down by about 2.48% last week as well, except for insurance. So what is likely to happen to some of these sectors? The banking, the consumer goods, the oil and gas. Well, insurance seems to be the bride of the moment.
No, actually, for me, if you look at the exchange, you have about 12 subsectors on the exchange. We only have 5 that you are to remember, but I'll tell you, most of those 12 subsectors are already doing well. That you as an investor should know where you have positive fundamental news that are going to impact the bottom line of company in that sector. For example, the hike in interest rate or FPR is a plus for the banks. No matter what's going to be the high cost of fund, because of the margin between that increase and high cost of fund, they'll still post positive number as from third quarter.
Even though the sector is going down, because
this is just correction. This is price taking. You are looking at what will drive the price to go. If you are looking at market adjusting, you do investment. Look at what are the positive fundamental news that will change the narrative in this company in terms of their earnings. Because I tell you, in any market, price feed on earnings, either on a short term or a long term. Then if I'm interested that this company earnings is coming for Q2 from the month of July, what am I doing to position? I look at those companies and say, okay, at the end of July, in the third quarter, what will make this company perform well? Is there any fundamental news or sentiment or information or policy that will impact that sector that at the end of the day to turn around operation in that company, in that industry or sector? For me, I said what the monetary policy did or CBN did last time, just adjust interest rate from 11.5 to 13, it's a plus for the banks. And that the sector that will start enjoying it, because why? Automatically they want to adjust all the rates in the banking sector. Automatically you have to be then. Yes, there will be high cost of borrowing, but still because there is increase, it will balance. At the end of the day, you see improve net, what we call net interest margin or income for the banks. And the edge for the bank. Then if you look at what is happening globally in terms of commodity, in terms of even here in Nigeria, I want to feed our people. You know that there's also factors impacting agricultural sector. Right. If you look at also your GDP that came for first quarter, look at the sector that really supported the GDP to record 3.11. These are the areas because most of them are not having an index, to measure them on the exchange. But if you look at the companies in that industry, they are still to show that the numbers of the company for full year 2021, Q1 is looking up. That I didn't like to sustain it going for the future. That's what for me. That's why every investor should understand how this market operates and know the factors that drive price. One, there's positive sentiment. But earnings will look up, because if you are an income investor, you're looking for dividend. A company that is not making earnings will not pay dividend. That's why you need to look at companies that are making good or improved profitability on quarterly basis to support their full year payment at the end of the year. For those that are paying 3 dividend, this is the time for you to be looking at them, because from July, August, we have seen interim dividend for companies from different sectors. You have to position ahead of all those figures, all those activities. This is also an equity investment. You know how to use dates and timing. If you don't know this, at the end of the day, you are a better investor. But when you don't understand, when the market is fully market, just say you'll be panicking and you'll be chopping yourself. No. If you are taking well informed, you don't panic, you don't have attack because of market. You know that adjusting that is a plus for you and I to position at a good price.
Okay, let's look at the top 5 gainers for the week and the positive top 5 decliners. We of course, Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, Jais Bank is in that category, Tana PLC, PZ Cruiser Nigeria, and then of course NEM Insurance. For Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, I want to start from there. Do a change of about 22.72% working for them. What do you think is driving this positive sentiment for the stock of Nigerian Aviation Handling Company? I know that perhaps there's a bit of because of the expectation in the aviation sector. Now we're seeing that the Nigerian Air, it's getting warm up for and that may mean a lot of activities for them. For the handling company. So is this the reason why we're seeing sentiment or investors' appetite in the stock of Nigerian Aviation Handling?
Like I always say, that investments against the future. This company have announced a dividend of 41 kobo and a bonus share of 145. This seems attractive for those that are income investor. But for those that are momentum investor, these are the factors that will move the price up. Then you key in. Now, for a week, stock are giving you 20% above inflation as we speak now. This was in just a week. Right. It tells you an information that come. Use an investor or a trader. What are you doing? Stock is where you can hedge against inflation. For me, just for 1 week now, you are getting almost 22 point something for a week. It tells you that. But for those that are greedy too, for those that are really smart, if you have made such money, you can also exit. But if you see that there are factors that are going to drive this stock further, you take your profit slowly. Don't be carried because stock is gaining. Know when to take profit so that at the end of the day, you won't be losing what you have gained. That's why when stock move up, take the profit you have made. That's why you learn also, it's part of what we're going to also teach in the coming masterclass, how to take profit slowly from stock that have good fundamental. But for me, it's just the 41 kobo and the 145 bonus that is supporting the price. And at the same time, as you just said, yes, we have seen that government has kind of intervened in the industry in terms of give them an aviation fuel for about they said 3 months, which 90 days. I believe they are spending almost 1 month now. I believe that before that 90 days, something also happened.
Even though there is a bit of disruption, because with that agreement, of course, they didn't hold much. They didn't really keep to that agreement. But of course, it was. In the interim, it was a sucker for them. It brought a kind of relief for them in that sector.
Let's see how it goes. But it's purely just the sentiment for the dividend payout.
But do you see that trend continuing this week?
Yes, I said,
especially for NACO.
Yes, but because the markdown date is also far in the month of July, around 18 or 16. Yes, it might go up and down, pull back again, profit taking, pull back. But for those that are really waiting for the bonus, qualification should be around that 16, 18 July. For those that are traders, you can go and come back. Still, also trading it up and down. If you want to wait to be taken slowly, fine. It depends on your investment strategy and your.
Well, let's look at Jais Bank. Doing about 15.38% in just 1 week. So you be asking, what is driving this? Have they declared any dividend in recent time? And so what's the activities driving this?
I would say for Jais, I can see some momentum investing in that stock. Why I say so is that for last week, not this week under review, the previous week, the stock was adjusted for a dividend of 4 kobo. And it bounced back the week under review now to gain almost 15%. I tell you that, and there's still volume coming in that stuff. For me, I see that is that volume that's attracting it's traders, because that momentum has the way of what influencing price, and that is why you see when you see positive sentiment, especially buy sentiment, it's part of what is there. For me, those that are really survey traders, don't just be carried away with want to make 100%. Once you see that a stock are giving you a sign to rally, and you see the momentum increasing, go with the momentum. Before the momentum also start coming down, exit the position. When they come back, and also ride that same momentum. That's why you must know how to use your technical analysis, so that at the end of the day you become an investor that can combine both technical and fundamental to take the ups and downs. Because market is about ups and downs, tops and bottom.
Talk to us about PZ Cruiser Nigeria and of course the Eternal PLC and them insurance.
For PZ, for me, market is expecting their unaudited account in this month of this month of June, because their financial year ended May 30th, 31st. Any moment from now, we will expect they are related to be in the market. For that, there might be position taking. For forgetting that the numbers they saw in the third quarter was a set of one item that was sold. Are they going to sell another item for the full year? But I see there's a way that's going to improve their full year at the end of the day. That might likely also impact positively on their payout. I think that is why investors are taking position in PZ.
All right, let's look at the top 5 decliners for the week. And interestingly, we have Fresco and Okomo in this category. So I'm wondering exactly, because I think one of them just took over, perhaps. I think, I don't know, perhaps Fresco took over a particular company. Yes, so, but I'm wondering why this decline. But let me let's go through it. Konoye is coming first with about 15.04% decline. Wema Bank also is in that category, losing about 45 kobo last week. Presco lost about 18 naira. Okomo lost about 21 naira, 50 kobo. So, and then of course you have also NCR as well, losing about 39 kobo. So, but maybe you should start from Presco and Okomo.
No, I'll start from Konoye. Let me just go down like that. If you look at Konoye, I would say Konoye for me, as I said, as an investor, know what's also driving a stock at the night. Know the reason why a stock is moving. It's very, very important. So that you not enter the peak where it's about to start coming down. Actually, I'm going to tell you that the market has phases, or even so the stock has a kind of a circle to go before it start coming down or before it start going up. You need to understand the phase where the stock is or the market is to know exactly when to jump in. For the life of Conway, to adjust also for dividend they declare. That's why they lost about almost 15%, for last week. Why for life of for Women Bank, it's just purely profit taking. But for Okomu and the press you just mentioned, those are just profit taking activities. Nothing has changed in terms of their fundamental remain strong. But because they are rallying from as low as almost 18 naira to almost 215, we expect investors to take profit, or traders especially, because you don't wait. And I tell you that you don't also cut a falling knife. When you are taking profit, you wait for the stock to form a support level before you jump in again. For me, it's just a correction.
Because I saw Okobo for especially the previous week, the share price was around over 200.
215 naira.
And then down to 108 at the close of
yes, because people are taking profit. Not touching Okomo, their fundamental remains strong. Just the sentiment in the market. After market have rally, you need to take profit.
Do we see that trend changing, or you think it might bounce back this week?
No, it might not bounce back this week. It might be next week. But I know if trader or a player in the market is looking forward to see the earnings of this company for their half year. When you see half year, company can project what will happen at the end of the year. That's why the life of Vatafilm, the life of UCAB, the life of Fixen, the life of Dangote Cement, WAPCO. You can see all those will have the same by year end. All eyes on this kind of stuff to see what at the end of the day they will produce or release to the market, to know how they are fair for the last 6 months. That also
let's wrap up now. Just with this final question, do it quickly. What to expect this week in the market, and what are the stocks to pick, the sector to look at?
What I expect a mixed market, because the bargain hunters are likely to come back after the market has pulled back for straight 4 days, or if the market is even correct today. I expect them also to take advantage of that as from tomorrow. That's why I expect a mixed market. For the sector to look at, I expect look at the the telecom sector, because I tell you that this is social service they are ready that everyone need it now, especially with the data industry or online business everywhere. That means if you want to look at the banking sector, look at the telecom, at the same time look at the healthcare, because I tell you these sectors, things that will drive their price are already there. That for you to know that at the end of the day we might see and improve earnings for this company in Q3. That is also leading us to full year. At the end of the day, you have a good dividend for yourself.
A good place to live in. Thank you so much, Ambrose Amodian, Chief Research Officer, Investor Consulting Limited. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.